wiki automation. Uploaded the file already to the website. So disclaimer here, very short thing. The project is under development. The first results that we have look very promising, but and we have an ambition to roll it out in the next few months. But I don't have a guarantee that it will look exactly the same and work exactly the same as I tell you today. Plus, I told you before, I'm not a programmer. This is the soul work, inspiration, blood, sweat and tears of my colleague Tomasz Rakowski. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it to this conference. Hopefully you will meet him some other time. So this is this is where we started today. At my job we have a couple of wikis, and every wiki is a full stack of software on its own, with its own design, with its own data model, with its own template, with its own administrator, with its own developers. Different people working on different wikis means that, you know, not everything, although you have a style guide and some common templates, lots of things are just not organized in the same way. And so that makes it hard for us to combine efforts and let one developer help out in another wiki because he gets lost in the code. So there's a lot of inconsistency there. We ran into a couple of challenges. So the first, like I said, if you maintain different wikis by different guys or girls, you build different template libraries, the documentation of the code is different, and so it's going to be very hard to share and support work. The second one is that as each wiki is being developed over the years and new features are being added along the way, they're not added in the same way everywhere, and you lose your consistency. Plus, some of the wikis do have those features and others don't. And on top of that, we have requests from other offices in my organization to build a wiki for them. So we have to find new resources to do that. Do you find new people that do wiki development on top of their regular work? Will they be as good as we or even better? But do we have to train them, educate them? It's going to be very hard. So these are all challenges, and that led for us to the conclusion is that although using wikis in our organization is considered a success, in the long term it is unsustainable. It's getting too complicated and it's taking away too much resources. So we're trying to find a solution where we could overcome these problems. And the solution is for us to automate the way in which wiki code is developed and to provide a common way to define and present data models behind each wiki. And the way that we do it is with model-driven architecture. This is a methodology that my organization has used before to develop command and control information systems, or at least prototypes of those systems, and that has proven successful. So we have been working on the development of a wiki automation tool with a lack of a better name that defines a single common code base that's going to be shared by every wiki, and that will generate all the code that is used to build the wiki, and that includes creation of the templates, the forms, the graphs, mentioned here concepts. Well, these are not, this is an ambiguity. In the wikis there is a concept namespace and it has a special function. For us, concepts is that whole construct that defines a set of data in our wiki. So it means the data itself plus the templates, the forms, the category, etc. So if we succeed in that, the automation will allow us to use all available features that we have in all extensions and in all templates in all of our wikis, and that the automation of the creation of those wikis will enforce a common style across the wikis. So it's easier to do fault analysis or maintenance and development of new features. So the idea is that we built that automation tool that's right there in the middle. It's based upon macros that are implemented through features and styles. The input is generated by a wiki coordinator. A coordinator is not a programmer. It is someone who represents the community of interest for a certain wiki and defines the model of the wiki in an XML file. So it describes in a certain terminology, it defines the data structure and the style preferences for the output for the pages that he wants to see. The automation tool then works with the XML file and generates everything that you need to have for the wiki. So if it sees that a certain set of data has a semantic relationship with another set of data, the automation tool will recognize that there is a need to add that in the form, to add a query in the page, to show that in a certain way, etc., etc. So all those things are being anticipated and generated by the code. On top of that, not all templates and forms can be derived from the data model. There are some neat features that you have defined in separate templates, and those are added in a sort of a template library. They are defined in the XML as well, but they are generated with each wiki. So I don't know if you can read this, but he added a small example of how a model would be defined, and then how that would lead to a template page. So the template that you see is completely generated from the code that he has, and this is just a part of a template for a specific situation. So in the end, what you will have, instead of stacks of separate wikis, all the things that are peculiar to wikis are defined in an XML and in the data that you have. So per wiki, you have someone who controls the data model and someone else who controls the data, but everything else in there, forms and templates and everything else, is taken out of the hands of the people that maintain their wiki. They don't have to worry about that anymore, because we have that all covered by a team of developers. So this dramatically simplifies the structure that we have, and it offers us a couple of extra possibilities apart from making our wikis more coherent and consistent. One is to also look at the automated development of import and export scripts, to automatically generate reports from our data that we now still do with separate scripts on a RDF dump, to see if we can integrate it with an export or an import function for probably an export function for Word and PowerPoint. Integrate with case tools, implement a search function, and not the least, to quickly define new wikis. So we anticipate that within the next year we will have 4 or 5 new wikis running in my organization. But if we do it in the old way, there is no way it's going to happen. If we have this available, it will be no sweat, and we have them up and running before no time. So that's it. Fast enough? Questions? Microphones.
Do you know about the page schemas extension? And if so, how does this differ or contrast with that? Page schemas.
Haven't heard about it. I can check.
This is something that we're also very interested in. I did write a script that would take, instead of XML, I wrote it in JSON, a description of a wiki, and had it generate the same thing. So very similar. And we did look at page schemas, but it unfortunately didn't generate exactly what we wanted it to. You know, everybody has their own style for how they want the form to look and the template. I tried to do it to sort of separate form from function, or form from logic.
Yeah.
So I generated a template that invoked two sub-templates, one that actually had the presentation and the other that had setting the data, so that they could sort of do that separately. But what we found, so we've got exactly the same thing, except we've got more than 3 new wikis a year, considerably more than that.
Yeah.
And we find that there's several weeks involved in the process of extracting the requirements, the semantic model, and then handcrafting all of that. And they're basically 2 people, myself and my colleague Bernadette, who do all that work.
Yeah.
And so therefore we don't have time to do anything else except generate new wikis.
Yeah.
And we'd really like to do other things. So, so we also are very interested in the same problem, except we'd like to step back one level, even beyond what you have there in the beginning. So we want to create a drag and drop graphical editor that allows us to, so allows even the end user to describe their model. What are the first class entities? What are the properties associated with each of those entities? And then configure it, and it could spit out, you know, something. Either Semantic Media Wiki could spit out cargo that would all be configurable on the front end, and that's something we hope to have a chance to start working on in the next year. But yeah, we want to make it so that even the customer can sit down with us in front of a computer and model, and then have it generate, you know, JSON, XML, whatever, that would then generate the on wiki.
That's our idea too. If I talk about community of interest, that's that end user, the representative of a group of users that understands what they need in a wiki and what their conceptual data model is. And of course, the thing is, if you use this code to generate a wiki, if it doesn't work, or if you make a mistake in a data model, or it doesn't look the way you anticipated, you change the settings and you run it again. And 15 minutes later, I don't know how long it takes to make the changes, but you will have a new wiki and say, okay, well, this is, you know, more or less what we need.
Yeah, because we've gotten to the point with the Ansible scripts, we can create a new VM with a new suite of wikis. That we can do super fast now, but now we need to get the next step and do the model.
Yeah, and you know, I haven't even looked at extensions that might do a part of this trick. My colleague has worked with this kind of approach for many years, and he said, well, I can do that. I said, well, go ahead. And he comes back after a weekend, and this is the funny story. I told it to some guys here. Is he came back and he was very concerned that I might be offended, because he knows that I spend more time working on wikis than I should, and that's not only on developing them and improving them, but also work on the data consistency and stuff. So he knows how much involvement I have, and he was concerned that I would be disappointed that he would be taking that away from me. And I told him, and I think that you would feel exactly the same, Cindy, is if a computer can do all the anticipated simple tasks for you, you will have more time and more resources to do the creative bits.
Agree completely.
And tools like this do that. And obviously things like Blue Spice do that within a certain framework and in a certain context. And there may be other frameworks that do that. We were looking for a solution that is tailored for the wikis that we need. It may not work in your situation. However, the architecture approach behind it and the engine behind it might be something that we can share.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What we are also interested in is all of the best practices we've developed over the years that we've not had a chance, not had time to reflect upon and sit down and write, but they're things that we've just innately learned how to do over and over again. You know, get those automated, get it so that those are all encapsulated in the tool
Yes.
and you know, documented in there so that we then can move on, as you said, to the more creative and interesting
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So this is a lightning talk, so keep it with this. But I promise, our intent is that at the next conference in the US, so spring 2017, my colleague will be here as well, and he will demonstrate it. Okay, thank you.